last month, we reported that a majority of car seats here in Maine are being misused. Experts with Safe Kids Maine say, unfortunately, that trend continues. This Saturday, they are hoping to ensure that every child gets a safe ride by bringing back their car seat checkup in Bangor. You can bring your child's car seat, booster seat, or seat belt to Quirk Chevrolet for a free car seat checkup with technicians from Safe Kids Maine. Experts say 9 out of 10 car seats in the state are installed incorrectly. This is a problem that applies to all families.
Pretty much everybody is making a mistake with their child when they're transporting them in the car. It doesn't matter their educational level, their social economic level. Everybody is pretty much making a mistake. And it's usually not just one mistake, such as a loose harness or a loose installation. It's multiple errors. And in combination, those errors can make a big difference in the event of a crash.
Car seat inspections will run from 10 to 1 on Saturday at Quirk Chevrolet in Bangor. Appointments are encouraged. We have a link to sign up on our website and mobile app.